Hello everyone, what is up? It's that time of year again. It is time for a book haul. Now, I have been doing these quarterly book hauls because I thought it made sense. Each season, talk about the books I've hauled. However, I don't know if this is gonna stay as a video because I realized I buy a lot of books in a season. And I do hope for that to kind of change in summer. I want to focus on reading the books that I own and not buying a lot more other than the pre-orders I have coming. But we'll see if that actually happens. So I did kind of buy a lot in March and April, and then May I kind of held back. I only bought my book of the month books. So there are a lot of books here. I know it's a problem. So without further ado, let's get into the haul. I'm gonna talk about the book of the month books first. In March, these three were my picks. I got What's Mine and Yours by Naima Coster. This is like a generational story. I honestly cannot tell you much more than that, but I love stories that are like talk about that unravel themselves through generations. So I'm really interested in this one. I'm hoping to pick it up sometime this summer, maybe this fall. I'm kind of really behind on book of the month. I also don't want to pause my subscription, so this is where we're at right now. And then the other two books that I got, because you know I like the add-ons. I got Black Buck, which has kind of made a splash in January. Since then I haven't heard a ton about it, but I've heard kind of mixed reviews. Some people loved it, and then I've heard some kind of lukewarm reviews, so I'm interested to see what I think of this. And then my guaranteed one that I'll love, Writers and Lovers by Lily King. I've heard nothing but great things about this. It's about writers and lovers. That's me. I'm game. I don't think I'll read this super soon, but I'm hoping this summer, maybe July or August, because I think this would be a great one to pick up. And one of my summer goals is really to focus on doing more writing, and so I think this would be the perfect pick-me-up boost of writing inspiration when I get to that midsummer lull. So really, I'm pleased with my picks for all the months, honestly. It just gets better. So for April, I picked out these three. I'm so excited for them all. For the actual monthly pick, we have People We Met on Vacation by Emily Henry. She wrote Beach Read, which was one of my favorite romances of last year. And this just sounds like a really cute summery read. I've heard it's a little predictable. I don't care. I love stuff that's a little predictable. Sometimes your mind just needs a break, and that's me right now. So I'm excited to pick this one up for sure this summer. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be a great palette cleanser between some of these fantasies that I'm hoping to read. So pretty excited about this one. And then speaking of the fantasies, I also got The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. This just sounds super interesting. I've heard N.K. Jemison's a great writer, and this just sounds like really a really interesting concept. So I'm interested to see how she executes it. And I'm game for an urban fantasy series. I always say I don't like series, but yet so many series interest me, so this is one that I will be trying. And then I also got Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I am so excited for this book. This sounds like an urban fantasy, dark academia, two of my favorite things, so I'm really excited to see how I like this one. I'm sure that I'm going to like it. I feel like this one that I love. I'm planning on saving it. It happens over the summer, so I'm thinking late summer, early fall, get that dark academia vibe going. So I'm gonna wait a little bit on this one if I can. It is kind of tempting me, but I'm so pleased with all of these picks. This was like the best month of book of the month I've ever had. These just really slap. So, and I haven't even read them yet, so. And then finally in May, these were my picks for the monthly. I got Things We Lost to the Water by Eric Nguyen. I have been hearing about this book and I've been wanting to read it, and I was so excited when it was a book of the month pick. And I'm so interested. This is definitely one I want to read this summer. This is again like a generational story, generational trauma. I love that sort of thing. So I'm excited to see what this is all about. And then, whoa. And then my other picks were kind of random. I got The Girl with the Louding Voice. I've heard Elias talk about this and he said it was really good. So I figured I'd try it. And then I got Girl A by Abigail Dean. This is kind of outside my comfort zone since I'm like just getting into thrillers, but it seemed really interesting, also disturbing. But you know, I like am morbidly curious about what this is and does, and I feel like it's not as graphic as the synopsis makes out to be, because the idea is this is based on the House of Horrors that happened a few years ago in California, where like a whole family was like chained to their beds, and like the people that rescued them like originally thought they were all like kids, and some of them were like in their 20s and they were just so like malnourished. And so this is based on that, and Girl A is like the girl who escaped and like alerted authorities and got everybody out, and now she is like trying to work with all her siblings to decide what to do with the house. And it sounds like it's really going to be interesting because it's more about the aftermath rather than the actual events, which to me like is more interesting. I want to know like the social aspects and how that affects your relationships with each other, so your inner psyche. So I think this will be a really interesting read. I'm not sure when I'll get to it though, because I definitely think I'll need to be in like a good headspace for this book. But nonetheless, again, I'm so excited for all of these though. I think I picked some good ones this month. And then getting into all the other books I haul, this is in not really in any particular order, but I'll start with the three that I read. We have this book, The Little Book of Self-Care for Virgo. This is basically kind of the first part is just kind of a little intro to astrology, and then the majority of the book is different ideas of like self-care practices based on your sign. And so I really like that because it talked about like as an earth sign, as a mutable sign, these are, and as a Virgo specifically, like these are all practices that would be helpful to you. And as a Virgo, I thought it was so well done. So many were things I already do, and then some were things that like I know I should do, and then like hearing it in this book, I was like, okay, confirmed, this would be perfect for me. So it was really cute. And this is obviously a series, so I definitely recommend checking out your signs. It's pretty cheap, and it's like such a cute little book to display as well. And in my opinion, great content. 10 out of 10. Next we have one of my most anticipated books of the year, Actor A.G. Brown by Talia Hibbert. This I featured in a reading vlog. It was in my March wrap up. I loved this book. I think it'll be one of my favorites of the year. And spoiler alert for the mid-year book tag. And I think it is just so cute. It is so like heartwarming, and I just am so emotionally connected to this book because I felt so, I related so much to Eve, and feeling that with the character, I just feel so connected to this book in a way that's beyond just like really loving the story. And so I just cannot scream about this book enough. I hope if you're a romance reader, this is a must read. If you don't know already, I feel like everybody's been talking about this book. But nonetheless, I hauled it and it was fantastic. I'm so glad I bought it because I really already want to reread it. And also in March, I read The Magic Fish by Trung Le Nguyen. This is a literal graphic novel about a gay boy who in the 90s who is Vietnamese American, and his parents, there's kind of a language barrier between him and his parents where they are kind of uncomfortable with English, but he's kind of uncomfortable with Vietnamese, and he's trying to figure out how to come out to them with this language barrier and like not being able to really find a translation for his identity in Vietnamese, and so he ends up confusing fairy tales to communicate his feelings. And so it is so cute, it's so heartwarming, it's a graphic novel, so it doesn't take a lot of time to read. This is one that I know graphic novels aren't for everybody, but if you're interested at all, if you've ever seen this book and thought you've been interested, please pick it up because you will not be disappointed. It is so cute and so lovely. If I love a book, it's so hard to talk about it, and so there's nothing else I can say. It's just so cute. I highly recommend. And now getting into the books that I have not read, we have The Falling in Love Montage by Sierra Smith. This is like a sapphic YA contemporary romance, and they're like doing all the things that happen in a montage, like in a rom-com movie, but it's sapphic, and I'm really excited. I'm planning to read this in June, and I'm just really ready for all the sapphic feels. I love YA contemporary romance that's sapphic. It always just warms my heart, and this just sounds like it's going to be such an adorable book. Sappho's Library has talked about this, like her favorite book, and so I'm really excited to see what happens here. And another book that Sappho's Library also talked about and has been everywhere, I feel like, is Gideon the Ninth by Tasman Muir. This is like space, lesbians in space, and they're necromancers, and I'm not sure, there's like a competition, I think. I'm into it, and I don't know if I'll read this in June. I'm kind of leaning towards more contemporary mood right now, but this would count. My goal in June is to only read queer books, and so but this is a queer fantasy, so we'll see if I'm feeling in fantasy mood. But if I am, this will probably be the one I would pick up. It just seems like it's really fast-paced, and like it'll be a really like emotional yet fun read. And continuing with the sapphic theme, we have The Last True Poets of the Sea by Julia Drake. I've heard a couple people talk about this, but in my opinion, not enough. I've heard Books and Lala talk about this, Boston Reads Books, nobody else really, and I feel like I haven't read it yet, but I feel like y'all are sleeping on it, so I'm really excited to see what this is about. I know there's like a shipwreck. I know that like the main character is sapphic. That's pretty much all I know, and that's enough to make me buy it in hardcover. So I'm really excited for this one. I'm hoping to possibly read it in June as well, or maybe I'll save it for the fall. I have not decided. I have so many queer books that I will not get to all of them in June, unfortunately. But I do hope to pick this one up pretty soon. But I want to make sure I'm in the right mood for it, because I think it's going to be kind of an emotional ride compared to other contemporaries I have going. And I also have a series, look at me talking about how I don't want to read series, and then I bought an entire series. I got these, but in my defense, I got these used. So they're $6 per copy, which is pretty good. And it is the Ember in the Ashes series. I got the first 3 books. They did have the 4th one there, but it was in hardcover, and I didn't want to have only the last one in hardcover. So I'm gonna wait till it comes out in paperback. I'm also really sad because the covers are different, but it's okay. This seems like really interesting, and as someone trying to get more into fantasy, I feel like this is a great this would be a great series to get started in YA fantasy and kind of ease myself into the genre. So I am really excited about these. I have no idea when I'll pick them up. However, when I do, I'm really excited to have the whole series, because it sounds like this is a pretty fast-paced book series that I will want the next one immediately. So I'm glad that I'm reading them when the series is complete, I believe, and having the first few on hand. It's gonna be great. Someday I will read them, and I'm excited about that. And we have another random pick, The House of Leaves. This was Books and Lala's April March book club's pick, and I was kind of seeing on the internet everybody like struggling to read this, and I was like, oh god, I'm glad I didn't read along. And then she like kind of announced after the book club, like, this is like one of my favorite books, like top 5 of all time. And so then I was like, damn, I need to read this. So I immediately ordered it, and have not picked it up. It's quite intimidating because it is like big. It's like a bigger size than most books. The print's very small. There's tons of footnotes, but then there's also some pages, oh my god, like this one that has nothing on it, barely. So I mean, it really just depends, I guess, on how things are going, but I've again no idea when I'll pick this up. I'm thinking maybe this summer, but we'll see. And then a couple books I got for Easter that I'm really excited about. One is The Electric Kingdom by David Arnold. This is like a YA dystopian pandemic-esque dystopian, did I already say that? Pandemic books, I know they freak some people out, but I'm interested. I feel like it helps me to understand what's going on. And I also have heard Elias talk about this, and he like really liked it, so I'm interested to see what I think of it. This is another like adventure story. I believe it's a standalone, so I'm hoping to pick this up soon. And then for Easter from my mom, I also got Dragon Springs Road by Janny Chang. Janny Chang wrote Library of Legends, one of my favorite books of all time, my favorite book of last year. And so since I read that, I've been wanting to pick up some of her other works. So I do have access to all the audiobooks of her books via my library, but her books, like, I love her writing style, and they seem like ones I would want to like read physically. So I'm really glad to have this, and I love that it's in paperback. I love a floppy paperback. So I have no idea what this is about, but if her name's on it, I'm interested. So this is the one book that I got in May outside of my book of the month, and that is A Man Called O by Frederick Bachman. This was on the like free will donation shelf at my library, and it was just, I've been interested in this book, but like I have no plans to read it soon, but just seeing like this in such a good condition in paperback, I thought I should just get it now, and so I did, for like $2. So I'm glad that I picked it up. No plans to read it. This is like about an old man reflecting on his life, and I don't think it's something I'm interested in anytime soon, but I know it's something I want to read. It's probably the next Bachman book I will read, so I will someday pick this up. Next we have a couple more books I've heard Elias talk about. We have The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I have never heard of this, and then I was like watching back through his videos when he was reading this like a long time ago, and then Elias's book club, late night book club, read this like last month, and so since then I've been interested. So I know it's like about a book set in Barcelona. Yeah, about a book, and like he finds this book called The Shadow of the Wind. Every other copy has been destroyed. This just seems really interesting. I love books about books, and this is like an interesting historical moment in Spain in 1945. So interested in picking this one up. I also got Vida Nostra by the Dyachenkos. I have saw Elias talk about this, and I originally had just got it from the library, but I realized I feel like it's one I might want to annotate, and I also just at the time wasn't in the mood and I wanted to get it because I don't know any other libraries in my area that have it, and I'm moving away from said library that just have it, so I wanted to go ahead and pick it up. This sounds like another like dark academia book, so I'm probably gonna save it more for fall. But I'm really excited. I love a school setting. I love some magic. So sounds great to me. Also, I really hope that they translate the rest of the series, or I'm gonna be real sad. Alright, and then coming up on the last few books. So one I bought on a whim was Detransition Baby by Tori Peters, because if you ever heard, there was this whole thing with the Women's Prize when this was longlisted, and people were just being like super transphobic, and then because of that there was kind of a huge surge of people saying like, let's buy this book to support this trans author who's like going through so much harassment right now. And so I bought it. I gave into the hype. Honestly, don't have much of an idea what it's about. I know it's about like queer women. There's a pregnancy involved. That's all I need, to be honest. So I'm interested to see what is going on here. And then finally, these last few I all got at Independent Bookstore Day. I found this cute little copy of Anne of Green Gables. It just looks lovely, and I've really been wanting a copy of this. I really wanted to read it before I watch Anne with an E, so I'm glad I found this. Then I also found Alat's Away by Darcy Little Badger. I found this in hardcover for $10, so I'm pretty happy about that. And because it was used, but it looks brand new, so I've heard great things about this. I think it'll just be really fun middle grade, and I've heard the main character is asexual, so this could be another book I read in June. I literally have so many choices, so we'll see what happens. But I'm excited about it. And then finally I have Mary Oliver's Devotions. This is one I am hoping to read in June, since Mary Oliver was a lesbian. So this is just I believe just a collection of a bunch of her poetry. So it looks like it's just kind of a collection from all of her different collections. So this sounds like it'll be really nice. Something I can read just a few poems from each night throughout June. Possibly the rest of the summer, who knows how fast I will read this. I really want to take my time, soak in her words. Mary Oliver is my favorite poet, so I'm really excited to finally own this. I think I definitely would love to own all of her other collections, but I think this is a great one to just have like access to a lot of her different poetry throughout all of her years. So I'm really excited to own it and to read it soon. Alright guys, so that is it for this book haul. There were so many books. Jesus. I went way too overboard in spring, but retail therapy, you know, you gotta admit it works. And so please let me know down in the comments below what books you've bought recently, what you've hauled from the library. What are you excited about reading soon? I would love to chat with you guys below. And that's all for this video. So thank you so much for watching. And if you like this video, you can like it or you can subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video soon. Bye!